Hello everyone, Alistair Gold here. It was worth the wait, wasn't it? What a day at Tottenham Hotspur. Gareth Bale has returned to the club after 7 years away, and Sergio Reguilon is now a Tottenham Hotspur left back. Voted the best left back in La Liga last season. The Bale announcement is amazing, but let's not let it overshadow just what a talent Tottenham have tied up in the young Spanish left back. He is brilliant. We'll talk about him a little bit later, but of course, there's only one place to start, and it is with the Welshman, Gareth Bale, back in N17. It's incredible, isn't it? As someone that has constantly, every single transfer window, had to say, it's just not going to happen. To finally have a window where we can actually say, it has happened, it's just incredible. And for a man that gets a lot of stick, a lot of the praise has to go to Daniel Levy on this one. Honestly, he negotiated an incredible deal for Tottenham Hotspur. Let me just kind of lay it out for you. So we know that Bale earns roughly, it's about £600,000 in Spain a week before tax. So what Daniel Levy's managed to do is negotiate with them, and I don't believe there's any loan fee involved. It was negotiated is a sum of money that is roughly 40% of Gareth Bale's weekly wage is what Tottenham will pay. I think it's around the 220 mark apparently, which is kind of roughly comparable with what Kane earns, and that's it. And the other 60% is being paid by Real Madrid. And on top of that, it wasn't announced today, but I know that it's true. Tottenham have an option to take Gareth Bale for a second season if it all works out for all parties. As in, if Spurs are happy with it and Gareth Bale is happy, there is that option to keep him for another season. So if Gareth Bale can fire or help fire Tottenham back into the Champions League, Gareth Bale will play in the Champions League for Tottenham next season. It's an incredible deal for a player who, albeit 31, is still one of the best, or has been one of the best players in the world, and he's got such a point to prove. There's an incredible image that's only gone out just recently of Bale. He took a trip to the stadium. I don't know whether it was today or yesterday, but it's just this image of him standing there, kind of chest puffed out, essentially back home, and a new home at that. And that's kind of one part of this as well. The Tottenham Hotspur that Bale left is not the Tottenham Hotspur that he's come back to. He had a chat with Daniel Levy yesterday, and the two of them apparently were talking about the fact that they both pushed, or they feel they pushed the club to a certain point in 2012. And now, in 2020, it's about pushing them onto an even bigger height. New training ground for Bale. Obviously, he left just before... was he just there for the end of... I'm trying to think if he was just there. He might have just got Spurs Lodge. Just got Hotspur Way, I think. But the new stadium for him is... It's so different. We know it. We've been there. And, obviously we're hoping the fans get back there soon. But for Bale, it's such a homecoming. You can just see, I saw his face when he was pulling up to Hotspur Way for the first time on Friday afternoon. And if you've watched any of the interviews with him now that Spurs have done, it's just real excitement. It's a passion to come back, not only to the Premier League and show that he can still do what he did, but also, I think, just to stick it a little bit to Real Madrid and the fans. And because I think there's just this real underappreciation of what Gareth Bale did in Madrid. Maybe it was just because he wasn't Cristiano Ronaldo. He came in as the most expensive player in the world, and there was almost this like, well, no, we've got Cristiano. Don't push him out. And, you look at some of the things he did. With Real Madrid, he won 4 Champions League titles, 2 La Liga titles, 1 Copa del Rey, 3 Club World Cups, and 2 UEFA Super Cups. The guy had won everything in the club game. And I saw a brilliant tweet just before I came. I cannot remember who did it, otherwise I'd credit them. But he actually, at Real Madrid, won more trophies than Zidane, scored more goals than the original Brazilian Ronaldo, laid on more assists than David Beckham, and won more Champions League than Luis Figo at Real Madrid. Yet, literally went today and there was like a line on the website, we thank them for everything he did. And the fans, it seems like they don't really care. So he's gone from a club where he was almost becoming vilified by the fans. And you could see him kind of reacting to that. We know about that, the Welsh flag and, what was it? It was Wales, Golf, Madrid in that order. And recent images of him kind of unused on the substitutes bench. And he was just kind of put his face mask over his eyes, just as if he was sleeping, and it's just a situation that just wasn't going anywhere positive. He didn't get on with Zidane. Whatever Zidane has said today, clearly he didn't like him as a player or something, or whatever, as a person, I don't know. But just to go from that and to come back to Tottenham, where even his harshest critic, the people that no doubt would have been very upset when he left for Madrid 7 years ago, even they can't fail to get excited about having him back. He is injured at the moment. He's come back. He went on international duty with Wales and he picked up a little knee injury. It's nothing too serious, but Spurs are saying he's not going to be fit, kind of match fit and ready to play until after the international break next month, which is it's kind of early on, like I think it's about the 8th to the 11th, roughly the period next month. So he'll be back in action after that. Obviously, we all want to see him just burst onto the scene straight away, and it may be that he recovers a little bit quicker, but that's when they're currently looking at, and it lets him get back in. It lets him acclimatise, and Tottenham should have enough about them in the meantime to be able to deal with things. They weren't a bad side before Gareth Bale came back, and hopefully they'll be a brilliant side after he comes back into the team. But it's so exciting. Just the mood. I must admit, I quite loved the way Spurs did it. Obviously, it was incredibly frustrating. The wait, everyone was a little bit like, what's going on? And today I actually had a day off and I was out with the family and my Twitter was just going mad with people saying, what's happening? But everything I was hearing from the inside the club was, it's fine. It's all being done. And I think we have to appreciate that, this isn't just about announcing just any regular signing. This was about getting everything done and announcing an enormous signing for Tottenham, but not even just one, two. Because, I'm going to get onto Sergio Reguilon in a moment, and just two enormous signings. They just had to get everything spot on. But yeah, like I said, I love the little bio thing. I noticed it just because I was obviously, like many people, just constantly refreshing the Spurs official Twitter page on my phone. I just noticed that the bio suddenly disappeared, and it just had this a picture of a house and a series of numbers, which were, I'm trying to remember now, was it 16, 3, 11, and then 9? Obviously, Gareth Bale's numbers, and now number 9. And I just thought it was a really clever little thing, and it's quite interesting. If you've watched the video kind of him coming back to the club, a little behind the scenes thing they did, you can see him talking about the number 9, and he obviously, I'm sure he would have liked 11, but Eric Lamela is at the club and currently isn't going anywhere. I do wonder also whether you can actually change a number once it's been registered, once the season's begun. I'd imagine that's quite difficult to do, or even maybe impossible to do. And he actually revealed that he had worn number 9 once before, Bale, at Tottenham. It was in pre-season. He'd just decided he wanted to give up the number 3, and he wanted the number 11, but Rafael van der Vaart had it. And he kind of had to wait in this period for Van der Vaart, who was likely to go, and did go, and then Bale took that number 11. And he said, apparently in pre-season he wore that. So he has at home got a shirt with 9, Bale, on the back. Obviously, we know he's not going to be the traditional number 9. That's not what he's going to be at Tottenham. He's going to be something altogether different. And, the spectacular days, the nights, the European nights, the Inter Milan games, the goals against the likes of West Ham. I'll always remember that when he ran into Villas-Boas' arms. Stoke. I think that was a cracker. I think Swansea. He's scored so many fantastic goals, and it just, from everything we know about him, and I think in a weird way, not playing much for Real Madrid last season, being frozen out so much, he's kind of almost been frozen slightly in terms of, he hasn't had a season where he's absolutely put himself out and got injuries and really overdone it. So at 31, he's kind of coming in, but he's probably not quite got the usage that a normal 31-year-old would have. He's coming in having had a season last year where I think played something like about 16 to 20 games. It wasn't a lot. And he did have a couple of ankle and calf injuries, but it wasn't anything major. So he comes in now, once he obviously gets over this little knee injury, and you'd think he'll want to hit the ground running. And he's also got to kind of keep this image going of what we remember of him in the Premier League. He was such a phenomenal player, and he won't want to feel like he's coming back as a not so great version of what we remember. I think it's just a fantastic signing. Absolutely fantastic signing. When you see Aubameyang down the road at Arsenal was signed up, and the excitement of him, I think he's 31, and Chelsea have brought in Willian, who I think is probably around the same age. Gareth Bale is just, this is one of the best players in the world over recent years, and Tottenham have got him back. It's phenomenal. It's so exciting, and I just can't get my head around the fact of a Kane, Son, Bale trio up front. Son going down the left, Bale down the right, Kane through the centre, and probably fluidly moving around and changing positions and everything's so exciting. It's pace to burn, people that can score goals, people that can set up goals. Kane is now going to have people around, and no offence to Lucas Moura, because he's such a hard worker and tactically disciplined, but in terms of end product, Gareth Bale is just a whole other world away. It's so exciting, so exciting. I think it's after the Man U game is the one before international break, so after that we'll see Gareth Bale and hopefully they'll do the proper fitness work with him so that it will hit the ground running. It's phenomenal. It really is very exciting, and it's just cool to kind of have a scenario that was so financially unviable. Even at the start of this window, I said in a few things, I said I still can't see whether it's going to happen or not if they can't get around the wages. Really was always the issue. But I did say if there's one window when maybe Madrid might be so desperate to get it done, it's this one. And so it proved to be. They totally caved, really, in the deal. It's a brilliant one for Gareth Bale. And like I say, if it all works out fantastically, we'll get another season of Gareth Bale at Tottenham. Then he's at the end of his Real Madrid contract, and then we'll see what goes. He'll be pushing 33 then. He may decide that wage-wise he doesn't need as much, and Tottenham might agree and keep him on. He may then decide to go off to someone like the MLS or somewhere in who knows. But right now, Tottenham Hotspur have Gareth Bale back home, and it's fantastic. Let's talk about Sergio Reguilon. Now, that's my attempt at pronouncing his name. If you have seen the way that man pronounces his name, I have not got the vocal capability to even pronounce what he said. There's, the Spanish kind of twists and lilt to it. It's an I could barely even actually kind of understand how he was managing to form the letters and sounds he did, let alone replicate them. So from what I can understand, Reguilon is the English way of saying it. In the behind-the-scenes video, you actually see him saying it to Bale, almost to say how to say it like an Englishman. I'm pretty sure that's how it is. Some people call him just Sergio, some people call him Reg, but Sergio Reguilon. As I said before, don't let the Gareth Bale signing overshadow what a coup this is for Tottenham. This guy, if you watched him for Sevilla last season, he was on loan from Real Madrid. He was brilliant. As I say, voted the best left-back in La Liga. Helped Sevilla get to fourth in La Liga. Won the Europa League with them. And he's such an attacking, exciting defender who's also is really developing on the defensive side of his game as well. And I don't want to do Ben Davies a disservice, but I saw a stat earlier that said last season he attempted more dribbles and take-ons than Ben Davies has in his career, and that kind of shows you what you're getting. He will just fly down that wing. He will absolutely fly down it. A bit like Doherty on the other side. You're going to have two flying fullbacks, which is so reminiscent of the Danny Rose and Carl Walker days, which is when Tottenham were at their kind of prime, when those two were flying down the wings. It is. You keep hearing me saying the word exciting because that's what it is. We've gone from people complaining about what I thought was a decent, very smart window so far in Højbjerg, Doherty, and Hart. You add in Bale and Reguilon, and it's I'm pronouncing that two different ways. No, Reguilon, and no Reguilon. Oh man, I'm going to go back and forth. Anyone that watches these know my pronunciation issues. I'm absolutely have a nightmare with it. Reguilon. I'm sure that's what you said. Reguilon. It's going to be so exciting with the two people going down the sides, and I am interested to see whether that affects how Mourinho sets up that defence, because obviously up to now we've been very used to this set idea. Ben Davies tucking in as another centre-back when they're in possession, with allowing Aurier or Doherty to be in a more advanced right-back. Reguilon does not allow you to do that. He is a flying fullback. So you then have to make the choice. Do you go with a back three and have Reguilon and Doherty as wing-backs, which obviously we know Doherty is used to, or do you have, a little bit like Spurs used to have with Dyer, a defensive midfielder, that may be Højbjerg now, who just kind of steps back as a sweeper and just sits either between or just in front of the central defenders, and which allows then the two fullbacks to bomb on. I'm excited to see how it happens. I don't think we're going to. I'm pretty sure that I was told that the cut-off to be registered for Southampton was midday yesterday, and obviously he signed today. So Reguilon is not going to be available to play at Southampton. So we're probably going to see that. Actually, that's one thing I haven't looked into yet, whether he can be registered for the Europa League squad in the qualifying stages or whether that squad is set. Because that could be the case, that it might be set. I'll look into that and I will get back to you on that. But otherwise, he could potentially, if he's fit and ready, he could maybe play against Leyton Orient away. If not, then it's Newcastle next, isn't it? You could maybe play him then. But thrilling player, so exciting. And I want to explain to you about this deal as well. I did it with the Bale. I want to explain to you exactly what works with this deal. So the deal is, it's kind of, it's below 28 million. And this is the other thing I wanted to say, because I got a little bit of flack for this, and I kind of thought I'd explained it, but clearly I didn't. So Tottenham went into this window not with the intention to buy a left back or a winger. And that's true. It sounds daft now, but it is true. And the reason is because they had it in their head. They didn't need those two positions as a priority. However, there was a caveat to this. With Reguilon, as I said before, he was the one player they would move for if he became available. He's a player that those within Tottenham have kept an eye on for a long time, and they just were interested to see if he came back from Sevilla and the price wasn't too bad, they would move for him. And when they found out it was under 28 million, that was when they went for him. Okay, well, that's different. I know we're not looking for a left back, but this guy is the future. So that's why they moved for him. In terms of the winger, there is no other winger pretty much than Gareth Bale that they would have ever gone for. Gareth Bale is someone they've looked at in every window and inquired with Real Madrid every window pretty much since he left. They had the first option to bring him back until last year, but as I said, it was never financially viable. When they went there this summer, it was suddenly it was something that could happen, and that's what I mean when I said they weren't looking for a winger or a left back. They weren't. But they had it in the back of their mind that if they could get these two guys, or even one of them, then that was something else, and they'd go for it. It sounds like it sounds a bit weird, but if you remember what I said at the time, I have always kind of kept with that idea. But yeah, so the deal for Reguilon, what it is, and this is one of the reasons why Tottenham were able to get him, was because, and others didn't quite advance their kind of interest, is that there's a buyback clause, and that's something that uncharacteristically Tottenham agreed to, and I'll explain why. The buyback clause states that Real Madrid can buy back Sergio Reguilon in the summer of 2021 or the summer of 2022 if they want, and Tottenham would get, it's around 15 million profit on what they've paid for him. However, Sergio Reguilon does not have to go. He's not being shipped off back to Spain against his wishes. Essentially, a decision will have to be made by the player if Madrid come back in for him of whether to go. And the hope is within Spurs is that he'll be very happy at Tottenham. He'll be very happy in the Premier League, and he won't actually want to go. I mean, if you look at the situation, Zidane said today, I've got two left backs. I don't need a third. So you can very much see how he's kind of viewed. He's an incredibly talented guy, but actually not really wanted at Real Madrid, which was why they let him go. But obviously they know that he could develop into a superstar and kind of is getting there already. So that's why they put in this buyback clause. But there is no, he does not have to go if he doesn't want to. And by all means, Tottenham could end up, hopefully, keeping the player beyond that time. And as I say, Real Madrid may not come back in for a bid for him. It's all very well saying, but they might bring him in just to sell him on. Reguilon would have to agree with that, and if he is starring and Tottenham are flying and Bale is flying, Kane and and Son and everyone else, also on Dembele. We'll talk a little bit about him before I go at the end as well. Why would you want to go? Just to go to Real Madrid and potentially probably have far less minutes, because the likelihood of them having a spot for him as their first choice left back, it's not a definite, it's not a guarantee in a year or 2 years' time. So I wouldn't get probably too fixated on that. Tottenham certainly have a real hope that he's going to, when it gets to that stage, it's not going to be an issue. And the other thing I want to say as well, a little bit of knock-on effect of what's happening with Reguilon arriving is that Ryan Sessegnon, as I understand it, the club are going to look to loan him out. And that's actually, it sounds like it's a bad thing, but it's not, because they've got massive hopes for Ryan Sessegnon. They believe that in Sessegnon and Reguilon, they've actually got their left-back slot tied up for the next 10 years. They're really excited about both players, but they're very much understanding that with Ben Davies right now, who is the perfect kind of guide or mentor for a young left-back, Sessegnon is not going to play. And also, he's at this stage at the moment where he hasn't quite made that move properly to left-back from attacking, as an attacking winger. And right now, Spurs have brought in Bale and Reguilon, two players who play in the two positions that Sessegnon plays. So what they're going to look to do is loan him out. And it will be, I'd imagine, a hefty loan fee as well, because they only bought him in last season for 30 million and Josh Onoma. So what they're going to do is they've got a bit of a frenzy going on. There's some, I understand, at least 5 or 6 clubs in the Premier League and also big clubs in Europe want to loan him. So they're going to have a little bit of a bidding war for him, which is great for Tottenham, means to get a bigger loan fee. And he'll kind of essentially have the choice of where he wants to play. And it will kind of come with a proviso that Tottenham want him developed as a left-back. That's what they want to happen, because they want him to get minutes, they want him to play, they want him to develop, they want him to get his confidence and belief back, and then he will return and he will battle Reguilon for that place. And in a worst-case scenario, should Reguilon decide he did want to move back to Real Madrid and they signed him, then you have Sessegnon ready to come in. And also you've got Ben Davies and also the very talented young 18-year-old Dennis Serkin, who the club also thinks a great prospect. So it's kind of like a bit of a win-win, really. I kind of get this kind of long-term view about it as well. It's a position in the team that really, really have properly sorted out for the long term. I'm really excited to see kind of how it goes as well, because, the feeling that I get from people inside is they believe that if Reguilon stays, which they feel he will, obviously you don't know how things will go, but you hope he'll be happy, that in a couple of years' time, you will have two of the world's best left-backs. That's the things I'm hearing from inside Spurs. Two of the world's best left-backs fighting it out for that spot. I love it. Honestly, today has been such a brilliant... Everyone got a little bit... I understand the frustration, but everyone got so impatient about getting it announced. And I even saw someone saying, "You've ruined it for us. You've ruined it by not announcing it today." Was it ruined? No, it wasn't. It just heightened the excitement and suspense and everything. There is no one now who is looking at those two announcements and is thinking, "Oh, wish it'd been yesterday. It's ruined." Of course it's not. It's fantastic. It's brilliant. And there's more to come. Tottenham Hotspur are not done. They are not. They are still looking for another target man striker, another option up front, and who will not have a number 9 though. Oh, I forgot to say Reguilon obviously has taken the number 3, Danny Rose's number. I forgot to mention that. So very much he'll be the first choice left back. Of course he will. With Ben Davies coming in, there'll be so many matches. They'll be playing every other match and things like that. They're looking to bring in another striker, and they're also, if possible, looking to bring in another centre back. I've gone into names before, so I probably won't go into them too much right now, because there's so many, especially with the striker one that they've inquired about, because they're trying to just get it right. With the defensive one, I know Kim Min-jae, obviously the South Korean, is a real player that they've looked at as a young guy that could progress, and also is quite cynically quite marketable as well. Not that they're marketing at Tottenham, he's a boost at the moment. Bale and Mourinho, and obviously what they've already got with the stadium and Kane, and it is, wow, it really is. It's growing so much. It is, but now it's about doing it on the pitch. It is about doing it on the pitch as well. So new striker and centre back is what they're aiming for. I know a lot of people would like another attacking midfielder. I think the only way that's going to happen, I'm told that's not a priority, and that they believe Lo Celso, Ndombele and Ali, are the ones for that role. Again, you can never rule out an opportunity, because it's very much how Tottenham operate. And as we've seen with the 2 deals today, if an opportunity arises, they will seriously look at it, whether it was something that they intended to in the market in the first place. On Ali, just want to say, speculation over his future, and there's even speculation over whether he'll be involved tomorrow at Southampton. But everything coming out of the club is that they expect him to still be at the club by the end of the window, and that he is in Jose Mourinho's plans. And why would Ali want to leave right now? He'd be daft to. Yes, he might think he'll get less minutes with Bale coming in and everything, but Bale, as I say, is not going to play for at least probably a month. This is his chance now to say, I should be in this team. And not only that, just watch me link up with Gareth Bale, playing behind. He could have a shout. If I think in my dream world, I'm seeing maybe a three with Højbjerg behind Ndombele and Lo Celso, who are then behind Son, Kane, and Bale. I'm going to forget his name. But Ali can push for one of those three in the centre of the pitch as well. Seen him do it, be a box-to-box midfielder. When he first came from MK Dons, he actually played for a little while with Eric Dyer there, and he was very good in the role. Steven Gerrard's his idol. If that's the role he ends up going into, personally, I do like him behind the striker, behind Kane. I think that's his best role. But if that's the role he does in the future, I think he can only learn from people like Bale. I think that one of the things that was so striking in his interview when he came back, Gareth Bale, today, was that he just kept talking about the winning mentality. He said, look, I've gone away and I have won it all. I've been there on the biggest stages. And for me, I've got that kind of thing inside me of not crumbling on the big stages, not feeling the nerves, and knowing how to do it and what it's like to win a trophy. And he said, I can bring that back to Tottenham, to these players. And, we know with Tottenham, the Champions League final, obviously, last year, and we saw that they've got to these stages and not quite hit the next level. That's exactly what Mourinho wants. And every transfer this summer has been about bringing in someone with that extra mentality. All three that came before, and Reguilon obviously has won the Europa League. He knows what it is to win these things, and Bale has won it all. And that can only rub off on the likes of Dele Alli. If there's any question marks, we know that Mourinho thinks he's a lazy trainer and all that. They see the way that Bale was going to train and Reguilon's going to train, and he's a guy that have won it. And there is no way that he can look at him and think that, I'm talented enough to not have to do that. That it just kicks everyone on a notch. And talking of training well, Tanguy Ndombele obviously had that great little kind of cameo out in Bulgaria the other night as Spurs won that bizarre game. But I'm not going to focus on matches today. Let's talk about players and everything. And Ndombele, Mourinho was absolutely made up with him right now. It's so great to hear. Apparently, he has just absolutely turned things around. He looks in great shape. I think he looks a lot kind of leaner than he previously did. And he wasn't fat or anything before. But I just feel that now he looks even leaner than he was. And Mourinho just says he's just so pleased with him. He's looking much, much better. He says way, way better than he has in the past. He said, actually, I think he's looked the best that he has since he came. And he said he's given everything in training. And they've been discussing about how he's not starting him just yet, but he's going to give him more and more minutes. And he's going to get him involved. And then he'll be in a space where fitness-wise, coming back from a knee injury he had, and also other health issues, which you can probably imagine what they were. And he's coming back, and fitness-wise, he's building and building and building. And yeah, can you imagine Ndombele, the way he plays with the dribbling and the through balls linking up again with the likes of Bale and Lo Celso. It's mouth-watering. We've had a pretty dire start to the season in terms of the Everton game, and in Bulgaria against Plovdiv, had they put away, had they had the penalty claim go against him, Davies put away his header and Bergwijn not hit the crossbar in the first half, it probably could have been wrapped up. But otherwise, it was a little bit iffy. It'd be really interesting to see now how things start to progress with the new players coming in. And like I say, 2 more still to come. The Tottenham Hotspur we have seen so far, and also, as Mourinho says, not a fully fit Tottenham Hotspur. The Tottenham Hotspur that I think we'll see in about a month's time, when the big games come as well, the big matches are coming towards, end of October, November, when Bale will be back. I think there'll be a very, very different Tottenham Hotspur. And it's really exciting. It is. You can probably hear it in my voice. It's fantastic. So really, that's kind of it, really. I think I've covered everything I was going to cover. I just couldn't let today go without having a little chat about it. It's actually really weird. I did the video the other day, and literally as I finished it, I got info about Bale. And so I had to come on and do another video. And then as I finished that, I actually got more info about the Reguilon stuff. And it was a bit like I had to make the call. Do I write an article about this now? Or do I come on and expose you poor people to my mug again for a third time in a row this night. So I did the article instead of the video because I thought otherwise you've just, you don't want to see too much of this face, quite frankly. But now it's done. Tottenham's window, 5 signings, all fixing various issues within the squad. 4 of them pretty much going to go straight into that first team. That's a very good transfer window. It really is. And like I say, more to come. So I think we can have frustrations. And, I look at Man United and their fans who are pretty frustrated with their window. I think they are going to bring in a couple more players now than Van der Beek. And obviously Liverpool have suddenly got going as well. And I think Spurs, they're not spending the same amount of money, but they are doing what they've needed to in this window. I'd be intrigued to see today how people judge this transfer window so far compared to, 2 weeks ago. It'd be quite interesting. And like I say, when it closes with the deals to come, I still believe will happen. I wonder if this could be possibly the best Tottenham Hotspur transfer window in a long, long, long time. And let's see what it does. Tottenham fans have suffered over the last 12 months or so. It's been pretty rubbish. It's been some experiences that certainly didn't live up to what we thought the nights in Amsterdam and stuff like that were going to bring. But now I think there's just a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of magic is maybe coming back to Tottenham Hotspur. Gareth Bale's home. Sergio Reguilon is here. And yeah, I think it's going to be hopefully a different Tottenham Hotspur we see to the one we've seen in the last 12 months. Mourinho able to bring a different mentality in, new players, just a fresh, blowing out that stale air that's been in the club and bringing in these new guys. And I think it can only be up for Tottenham Hotspur from now. So yeah, on that note, off to Southampton tomorrow, obviously. Early kick-off. And I shall talk to you later in the week. There's so many games that come thick and fast. I'll have to work out when I do a next video so we can get in as much as possible. More transfer stuff, more match reaction, obviously. And hopefully only good stuff to talk about. But obviously, if there's any bad stuff, we will absolutely dissect it and tear it apart. So look after yourselves, stay safe and healthy, and I shall catch you later. Bye.